All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down one of the most powerful ideas in modern economics, a complete rethinking of how government should handle powerful companies.
So here's the big one, the multi-billion-dollar question really. How do you tame a massive, powerful company that knows way more than you do? On one side, you've got a government agency trying to do the right thing, and on the other, a huge firm that's holding all the cards. It knows its real costs, its tech, its strategy, while the regulator is kind of left guessing.
For the longest time, the way people thought about regulation was, well, pretty simple, almost cartoonish, kind of like what you see here. The idea was that the government was this all-knowing puppet master, and companies would just fall in line. But, and this is a big but, that whole model was built on the shaky idea that the regulator actually knew what was going on inside the company. So, what did they do? They came up with these really simple one-size-fits-all rules. The classic one was the price cap. Just tell a monopoly, hey, you can't charge more than this. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, the problem was these blanket policies often completely backfired, sometimes killing innovation or, believe it or not, letting companies make a killing anyway.
And the absolute core of this whole problem has a name: asymmetric information. Now, it sounds kind of academic, but it's a really simple and powerful idea. It just means one side knows a whole lot more than the other. And in this case, the firm has a massive information advantage over the very people trying to keep it in check.
And this slide, I think, does a great job of showing you exactly what that information gap looks like. The regulator sees the stuff the company reports, public data, averages. But the company, oh, they know their real costs. They know just how efficient they could be. They've got the whole strategic plan. It's like the regulator's looking at a blurry old photo, while the firm is watching the movie in 4K. Okay, so what? What actually happens when the folks in charge are basically flying blind? Well, you end up with a total mess, a whole bunch of really bad outcomes. Think about it. If your profits are tied to how high your costs are, what are you going to do? You're going to inflate your costs. Suddenly, there's zero reason to get more efficient. And even worse, this kind of system can end up just protecting lazy monopolies and shutting out new, innovative companies that could do a much better job. And for a really long time, this just seemed like a problem with no solution. But then, in the 1980s, an economist named Tirole came along and just completely turned everything on its head. He saw this information gap not as a roadblock, but as the key to designing smarter policy. And this quote right here, this is the heart of his big idea. Tirole said, look, regulation is not supervision. It's not about being a watchdog constantly looking over a company's shoulder. No, it's about mechanism design. In other words, creating a set of rules, a game, where the company, just by doing what's best for itself, also ends up doing what's best for everyone else. Here's a great way to think about it. Instead of this constant head-to-head battle, this collision course between the regulator and the company, Tirole's idea is more like economic judo. You're using the company's own momentum, its desire to make a profit, to guide it where you want it to go. You don't fight the game. You change the rules of the game itself. Okay, that all sounds fantastic in a textbook, right? But how on earth do you actually pull that off? How do you get a company to voluntarily reveal its secrets? The answer, which Tirole came up with alongside his colleague Jean-Jacques Lafont, was just brilliantly elegant. It's not about forcing them to tell you anything. It's about designing a system where they want to show you their cards. And the way you do it is by giving them a choice. And this is how it works. It's genius. The regulator puts together a menu of contracts. Think of it like a restaurant menu. Option 1 might be a high-risk, high-reward deal. You can make huge profits, but only if you're super efficient and keep your costs low. A really efficient company's going to grab that deal in a heartbeat. Then there's option 2, the safe bet. It's a low-risk contract that basically just covers your costs plus a small guaranteed profit. The less efficient company, the one that's worried it can't slash its costs, is going to play it safe and pick that one. And just like that, by making their own self-interested choice, the firms reveal exactly who they are. It's incredible. You have to understand, this wasn't just some small adjustment. This was a total game changer, a complete overhaul of how we even think about market power and regulation. And the ripple effects were, well, they were enormous. Tirole's whole incentive-based way of thinking completely reshaped not just one little corner of economics, but a whole bunch of fields. We're talking antitrust, corporate finance, even how we think about the big tech platforms today. His ideas are literally everywhere. And of course, for this absolutely revolutionary work, Jean Tirole won the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences back in 2014. The official award was for his analysis of market power and regulation, which really just cemented his place as one of the most important economists of our time.
So why does any of this matter to us today? What's the bottom line? Well, thanks to Tirole, governments now have a much smarter toolkit. They have a framework for designing policies that actually encourage big, powerful companies to be more productive, all while protecting the rest of us, customers and competitors.
Which brings us to one final, really big question for today. We're living in an age of these giant tech platforms, right? Companies with unbelievable market power and, you guessed it, a ton of information that nobody else has. In a world like that, aren't Tirole's ideas about designing a smarter game more urgent and more relevant than ever before?